Returning from the days of Medarot 8, she may not be the exact original Gardener-type model, but is in fact a color variant. It is GRW0 variant Riza 2, with a kit of Plant Up, Stat Cleanse, Charge Plant, Biped Legs, and the leg ability of Continuous P, which passively buffs leg speed, leg stats every turn that an action is completed. Now, as a previous event reward model, a lot of new players may have missed out on Riza 2, but she is a rather unique model that has rather strange versatility, not necessarily as an aggressive supporter or healer type, but more as a supporter to passive aggression, which is a very strange and equally niche field that unfortunately means she has had some very weird versatility and usage. Plant Up is one of the very few special skills, which means any metal can use them very frequently, but it's also an incredibly rare skill in the fact that she's currently the only model to have this skill. But simply explain that upon using this skill, it will reinforce the number of times a trapper plant has been on the field, primarily plants exclusively. So if you'd like to make use of Charge Plant, Disturbance, or Heater Plant, Cooler Plant, or so on, but it's about ready to expire, you can reinforce it and basically reset its number of uses with this skill and keep the effect up going longer without having to reset it. Stat Cleanse on the right arm is a healing-based skill that, once activated, will allow her to cleanse negative ailments from herself and any allies, and in addition to this, also render everyone immune to ailments a certain number of times. Now, even though thanks to the 3.2 patch, Stat Cleanse has been nerfed just a little bit to make it more palatable to combat, or just a little trickier to use because it doesn't last as long, Stat Cleanse is a skill you can generally never ever go wrong with fitting on a team, especially if you want to balance one for coverage. This even more so is the effect, especially in competitive PvP or meta, where ailments tend to like being used very often. Charge Plant on the left arm is a setup-based skill that, once placed on the field, will basically grant a little extra Metaforce per charge on their turn when they charge Metaforce on that turn. So instead of getting the traditional 30% or so upon spending that turn, you will get about 40% instead, which means you can charge it faster and make use of bonuses sooner, or even plan for a Metaforce nuke faster than expected. Biped Legs means you will have relatively solid coverage across all terrains, as pretty much expected of a Gardener type like her. Also in the fact that Biped Legs also have one of the best all-rounded compatibilities when it comes to terrain matching. In the armor department, much like her rather niche and very strange kit, Riza 2 also is kind of niche, but also to a point, also to be expected for female types when it comes to armor. With a hit HP of about 2750, right arm about 2700, left arm at 2400, and the legs at 3350 means she's okay-ish with armor, but not necessarily to the point that she can really take a beating too easily, especially with that left arm in particular having very low armor even for female-based standards. The leg stats aren't too shabby either, moderately well-rounded based on how you choose to use them, but again, as a reminder, these are also base stats, which I will go into in just a moment. Leg mobility at 753 isn't too shabby, kind of in that mid-range of where bipeds tend to want to sit at. Evade of 844 isn't bad either, but she really won't emphasize too heavily on dodging or grazing a lot of stuff, unless it's a blind hit or a really, really low success attack. Melee resist of 1082 isn't too bad, and a shoot resist of 945 means she's moderately well-rounded, even if they are on the lower end when it comes to numbers, meaning it's a pretty decently rounded leg to use. Plus, the leg ability of Continuous P means that for every turn an action is completed, she will go progressively faster with a boost to her leg stats or her heat stat. So even if she doesn't go super fast at the beginning, the longer the fight drags on, the faster she gets. And because she is a biped leg, after a couple turns, she can most certainly take advantage of this effect moderately easy. As a pure set score, all this considered, I do have to rate her a pretty mixed range of about a 6.5 out of 10, given that even though a very strange kit like hers is kind of tricky to use, it actually synergizes with itself moderately well. Charge Plant means she can most certainly render aid and support to any Metaforce-reliant nukers or spammers that are on her side of the field, Plus, Plant Up also allows her to reinforce it without having to reset the plant after it expires. And Stat Cleanse is another skill you generally can't ever go wrong with using for its incredible versatility and pretty much flexibility in any team you put it on. Plus, Continuous P, as mentioned, does mean she will go progressively faster as the fight drags on, but that also does come with a caveat of requiring her to actually survive that long or be covered that long before you really start noticing that effect. As mixed parts, though, I do have to rate her easily at a 7.5 out of 10, given that even though the legs may or may not see a lot of use, and Plant Up, again, is an incredibly niche and rare skill, Charge Plant and Stat Cleanse are also very valuable parts you generally will love using anywhere, especially, as mentioned, if you do need Stat Cleanse on the team, or if you're in need of Metaphor Sustain and can't feasibly fit it with something else, such as Full Charge or Auto Charge Leg ability, or something of the like.